Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about small talk. How to find the appropriate topic for your small talk, how to have an exit strategy in case you run into someone who is a super talkative person, and lastly, how to muster the courage to strike up small talk with a person whom you don't know. I will illustrate each of these points with a story. Let's get started. When it comes to the topics of small talk, topics that people are familiar with and comfortable with are the best. It doesn't have to be anything earth-shaking. It can be something very, very general, like people's occupation, maybe books you have been reading recently, some interesting concert you've attended, or vacation you've recently taken, hobbies, general topics like that. There are a handful of topics that are best to stay away from in any situation, in any culture, is what I have experienced. Some of these topics are politics, people's appearance, sexuality, and people's financial situation and earnings for sure. Now let's move on to some of the nuances when it comes to topics. Choosing the appropriate topic is important. It also has to be chosen in the right context. Let me illustrate this point with a story. I was at a meet and greet gathering at my university not long ago when a young student came up to me. We had never spoken before, it was a new interaction, and first of all, she sort of stepped into my personal space. I think this was just a cultural difference, but her face came this close to mine and asked me, "What is your hobby?" This question was just so out of the blue. It sort of sounded like maybe she read in a networking book that that's one of the possibilities, but it really didn't seem natural. We were standing over some little snacks, sipping coffee, so even choosing something about the snacks offered would have been a better start. My point here is that whenever you strike up a small talk, a conversation with someone whom you don't know in a setting like that, networking or conference or whatever, new situation, it's best to start on common ground, on something that is common to both of you. Of course, we both have hobbies, but the question was still out of the blue since we had no interaction before whatsoever. So, golden rule about after you choose the appropriate topic is that you start on common ground. So another important aspect of the small talk is to really keep it small. I saw an example for this in my own life the other day when I went to a business breakfast organized by a colleague of mine. Among the participants, there were quite a few people whom I knew already, and there were a handful whom I didn't know. So as soon as I scanned the group, I realized that this was the case, and I decided that I would like to speak with at least 3 new people. 5 was ideal in my mind, but I really wanted to talk to 3 different people. One of the people I didn't know in the group struck up a conversation with me, which I was very happy about, and we started to talk about typical small talk things like our families and occupations and the like. Everything stayed on safe waters, but it just wasn't wrapping up. We talked and talked and talked, or I should say he talked and talked and talked, and the event at one point was just over. So after this incident, I realized that I really should have gone into this whole situation having a clear exit strategy in mind. One possibility for such a strategy is that after a few minutes, you politely excuse yourself. This is what I will do next time. And there can be several legitimate, 100% polite excuses, such as, "Excuse me, I'd like to check out the next event." Or, "It was nice talking to you. Shall we go grab a snack now?" Or something similar that will not make the conversation partner feel bad, but at the same time, it will clearly signal that you are now done with this conversation. And the last point I wanted to make about small talk is that it's a grossly underestimated important part of making meaningful connections. It is not necessarily just a talk about superficial topics. It can be, in fact, the start of long-lasting, wonderful relationships, and you never know. You just never know where small talk is going to go. I was at a hike with a group of international people a few months ago, and we were just trotting along quietly. People didn't really know each other in the group until about lunchtime. At lunchtime, I noticed that there were several people who didn't bring food with them. There was particularly this one young woman who really seemed to be hungry and seemed to be tired, and she didn't have a sandwich for lunch. I offered one of mine, but first she declined. Then she accepted, we started to talk, and anyway, to make the long story short, we kept in touch. It turned out that she just moved to Hungary, where I live, from Germany, and she was just so happy about a real first connection with someone in this country. So the point is, you never know where small talk about just your long lunch sandwich might lead to. So have the courage to approach people with some small talk and with your lunch sandwiches as well. Thank you for watching this video. And if you're interested in content like this in the future, please hit the subscribe button below. Take care now.